the step-by-step Salesforce optimization roadmap I use with every client. Most companies try to fix Salesforce in the wrong order. They start with dashboards, automations, new fields, or a big cleanup project, and sometimes those things help for a week or two, but usually the same problem comes back. Reps still avoid the system, reports still feel unreliable, leads still fall through the cracks, forecasts still feel like guesses, and leadership keeps asking, why does Salesforce not show us what is actually happening? The reason is simple. You cannot optimize Salesforce by randomly fixing symptoms. You need a roadmap. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step Salesforce optimization roadmap I use with all of my clients. This is the process I use to take Salesforce from a messy, slow, underused system that actually supports revenue. Quick context, my name is Olivia and I run a CRM consultancy for B2B companies with complex Salesforce environments. My team and I have worked across industries like manufacturing, financial services, logistics, nonprofits, healthcare, professional services, etc. We help teams turn Salesforce from a messy, underused system into something that actually supports revenue, operations, and decision-making. After doing this across different industries, company sizes, and Salesforce environments, I can tell you that companies who succeed with Salesforce do not just have better admins, they follow a better process. The roadmap that I use is called the Clarity Method. It has 7 steps. These 7 steps are co-create the vision, learn the business, architect with intention, build rapidly but reasonably, iterate after launch, train the team properly, and yield measurable outcomes. Let me walk you through each one. So number 1, co-create the vision. This first step is to co-create the vision with the client or with your team. Before you touch Salesforce, you need to define why this project even exists. This sounds obvious, but it is where many companies fail. They say things like, we need to clean up Salesforce, or we need better dashboards, or we need better automations. But those are not outcomes, those are activities. The real question is, what business results are we trying to create? Maybe the goal is reducing lead response time, improving forecast accuracy, increasing adoption, shortening the sales cycle, reducing manual work, or giving leadership better visibility. It could be anything. Until that is clear, every Salesforce decision becomes subjective. So in this phase, I align the executive sponsor, the ops lead, the system owner, and the actual end users. We define the problem, the desired outcomes, the success metrics, and the priorities. We also define what will not be solved in phase 1. This really matters because Salesforce projects go off track when every stakeholder adds their wish list and nobody decides what matters most. The outcome of this step is a simple vision summary. The vision summary should answer what you're fixing, why it matters now, how success will be measured, what is in scope, and what is intentionally left out. If you skip this step, you do not have a project, you have a collection of opinions. Trust me. So number 2 is learn the business. The second step is to learn about the reason why this business exists. You cannot architect a good Salesforce system if you do not understand how the company actually makes money. So before designing anything, I map out the business in plain language. I want to understand the ideal customer, what they buy, where leads come in from, how qualification works, what defines a real opportunity, how pricing happens, what happens after close, where the process slows down, and where people are using spreadsheets or manual workarounds. Also, why did you even start the company to begin with? Why do you love what you do? Leadership may think the issue is reporting when the real issue is vague pipeline stages. Sales may think that the issue is adoption when the real issue is cluttered layouts and a slow workflow. Marketing may think sales is ignoring leads when the real issue is manual assignment and unclear queue ownership. You do not discover that by just staring at a Salesforce setup. You discover it by understanding the business processes behind the system. The goal of this phase is to answer one question. How should Salesforce support the way the business actually sells? Once you know that, you can design properly. Number 3, architect with intention. The third step is where you design before you build. And this step matters because architecture decisions are the hardest to undo later. Objects, fields, stages, pipeline, permissions, automations, integrations, the data model, reporting. All of this needs to be designed together. If you get those wrong, every future improvement becomes harder. So in this phase, I map out the future state of Salesforce architecture on paper or on a Lucid chart or something before making changes inside the system. We decide what we should use for Salesforce functionality and what actually needs customization. We define the data model, decide which system owns each type of data, identify the automations that are actually needed, and map integrations. We set access rules and look for anything that is being over-engineered. The last part is important. A lot of Salesforce problems come from building just too much. Too many custom fields, too many automations, too many exceptions, and reports can make the system harder to manage instead of more powerful. A good architecture is not the most complex version. It's the cleanest version that supports the business outcome. The question that I keep asking in this phase is simple. Will this still make sense when the company is twice as big? If the answer is no, then we'd redesign it before it becomes technical debt. Okay, number 4, rapid responsible development. The fourth step is where the building actually starts. The key is to move in short, focused cycles instead of trying to build everything at once. Salesforce projects fail in two opposite ways. Some teams move way too fast and create technical debt, and other teams move way too slowly and lose momentum. The goal is both speed and discipline. So we break the roadmap into small, testable pieces. That might mean one sprint for lead routing, another sprint for pipeline cleanup, another for dashboards, another for automations. Each sprint has a clear scope, acceptance criteria, owner, and feedback loop. This is how we make it work. That way stakeholders can see progress quickly, but the build still stays controlled. This is also where testing matters. You do not wait until the very end to discover that an automation conflicts with another automation. You test as you build, document decisions as you go, and catch defects early. This phase is about building momentum without creating a mess for somebody else to clean up. Iterate with intention. Number 5. The fifth step is to iterate with intention. A Salesforce project does not end at launch. Launch is when the real learning starts. Once users start working the system every day, you find out what is actually useful and what is not. You look at which fields are being updated, which reports are being opened, which automations are helping, where users are still creating workarounds, and where adoption is dropping off. This is why the first 90 days after launch are so important. You need structured feedback from users, not just leadership. Reps, managers, ops, marketing, customer success, and anyone who touches the system should give feedback and have a feedback channel. But iteration does not mean changing everything that people complain about. It means prioritizing improvements based off of impact. So if a small layout change removes a daily friction for 20 reps, that is high impact. If one executive wants a rarely used report, that may not be a phase 1 priority. The point is to keep improving the system without turning it into a collection of random requests. Salesforce should evolve, but it should evolve intentionally. So number 6 is T, train and transition with confidence. A working Salesforce build that nobody uses is worse than a broken one, because at least with a broken system, everyone knows that there's a problem. With a system that technically works but nobody's adopting, leadership thinks that the project succeeded while the team quietly goes back to working on spreadsheets. We do not want that. So training cannot be an afterthought. And it should not be a generic Salesforce feature walkthrough. Users do not need to know every button in Salesforce, but they do need to know how to do their job in the new system. For reps, that means how to receive new leads, update opportunities, work on tasks, log activities, and use their dashboard. For managers, that might mean how to run a pipeline review, coach from the data, and spot risks. For admins or internal owners, it might mean how to maintain the system, manage users, troubleshoot issues, and make safe changes. This phase also includes documentation, SOPs, recordings, support paths, a transition plan for long-term ownership. The goal is not just launch, the goal is independence. The client should be able to operate the system confidently after the project ends. And number 7 is yield measurable outcomes. This one is huge because we're now showing you what was actually done. So this is where you prove that the work actually mattered. A Salesforce project should not end with, we built the thing. It should end with, here is what improved. So you go back to the metrics defined in the vision phase and you compare that baseline to the current state and ask whether Lead response time has improved, adoption has increased, forecast accuracy got better, the team saved time, pipeline visibility improved, or revenue operations became more predictable. If you cannot measure the outcome, you cannot prove the ROI. This step is also where you identify the opportunity. Once the first layer is fixed, what becomes possible? That might mean more automations, better forecasting, renewal workflows, cleaner executive dashboards, or more advanced reporting. Salesforce optimization is not a one-time cleanup. It's a continuous operating discipline. The goal is to keep connecting the systems to business outcomes. So that is the roadmap. It is simple. Align on the vision, learn the business, design the architecture, build in focused cycles, iterate after launch, train the team properly, and then measure the outcomes. That is our clarity methodology, and the reason why it works is because it fixes Salesforce in the right order. You start with the business outcome, understand the process, design the architecture, build the solution, then iterate, train, and transition to prove the impact. Most companies skip the early steps and jump straight into building. That's why they end up with a system full of disconnected fields, automations, reports, and dashboards that just do not actually solve any business problems. If you take one thing away from this video, take this. Salesforce optimization is not a technical project first. It's a business design project that happens to be implemented inside of Salesforce. In the next video, I'm going to show you the Salesforce audit checklist that I use to identify what is broken before rebuilding anything. We will look at a page layout, fields, automations, pipeline stages, dashboards, and adoption signals, and also data quality. And if you want a complete system for doing this properly, I cover it all inside of my Salesforce Revenue Optimization Program. Inside the program, I walk you through full CRM optimization processes that I use with B2B companies that need Salesforce support, complex sales, operations, and reporting, and revenue workflows. That includes audits, roadmap planning, architecture, lead management, automations, dashboards, reporting, training, and measurable outcome tracking. It is designed for teams that know that Salesforce should be cleaner, faster, and more useful, but do not want to spend months and months trying to figure everything out from scratch or hire an expensive consulting firm. You can find it at start.freethinkersconsulting.com. The link is also in the description. But whether you join the program or build this yourself, stop fixing Salesforce randomly, follow the roadmap, fix the foundation first, and then build the system that your revenue team actually needs. I'll see you on the next one.